Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out today for the grand opening ribbon cutting of the Elio Center. I apologize if my voice isn't carrying as well as it normally does, but in light of all the COVID numbers going out, we're still kind of requiring masks here. I've got Rob Spalding from the Christian Center here. Rob, thank you so much for the crucial role that you played in contributing to make this a reality. We have many esteemed guests. I want to thank all of our chamber ambassadors, board members, chamber staff, community members, the sheriff, the health department, all of you that have shown up to show your support for this endeavor. Unfortunately, our mayor could not make it, but he did send a letter that I'd like to read on his behalf at this time. My fellow citizens, while I am unable to attend today's celebration, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Rob Spalding for his success in fulfilling his vision of the creation of the Elio Center. It has been a long goal of Rob's to bring forth a means to provide to those in need and the tools and services necessary to assist in overcoming many of the obstacles that often prevent these individuals from becoming self-sufficient. The Elio Center is designed to assist those in our community who are most vulnerable in a manner that will provide an opportunity needed which will allow them to move forward in a meaningful, respectful, and sustainable manner. On this occasion of this celebration, I extend my congratulations to Rob, his staff, and the many volunteers on their success, and also wish to thank State Farm for their generous contribution. There's going to be a whole lot more on the State Farm contribution as soon as we're done with the ribbon cutting. So after the cutting, we'll applause, and then we've got one more presentation to make. So Rob, can you tell us what's the genesis behind the Elio Center? How did this become a thing?
Well, Clayton, it all began in August of 2017, standing on the street over here in front of the center. Young man named Kevin approached me, and he'd been living under the Truman Bridge, and he was excited that he was going to get a job interview that day. And I asked him when was the last time he showered, and he said it had been 5 weeks. I just said, you don't count on getting this job. You know, we need to figure something out here. We sent him upstairs. Eric got him up. He got a shower. He got clean clothes and everything to wear. But we really started thinking then, what are the things that are the obstacles that are always there for people who live on the street? Because if they can't get past those, if you can't even get in the door to interview, if you can't even get in the door to have the conversation about housing and things like that, then everything else doesn't happen. So then in October that year, I told my board, I said, I really think that God's calling us to do this. And we began at that point working on there. Another thing had happened this summer, early this summer, I was out on my lunch hour just giving out bottles of water and to people who are on the street and people who are doing whatever. And a young lady talked to me about, she'd been on the street for some time. Her husband had a part-time job. She had finally landed a part-time job and was very excited about that. This was on a Monday. I saw her again on Thursday because they knew together their 2 part-time jobs that they'd be able to get a house and a place to live. I saw her again on Thursday, and she said on Thursday that she had lost her job because her employer found out that she was on the street and had no place to shower or wash her clothes. So he let her go. And that had just given us more emphasis behind this, why this is so important to get those dominoes in place for people who live on the street to move them forward. Because the point of this is not to enable someone to stay where they're at. It's to empower them to move their life beyond.
Robin, you're with the Christian Center, but this is not solely a Christian Center endeavor. This is a collaborative effort. Can you tell us a little bit on how you got so many organizations to kind of row in the same direction for a common cause?
Yeah, when we began talking about it and we began explaining to people what these obstacles were and how we could overcome them, it was natural for people to come on board. One of these, Sheriff Mellinger, who I think is here, and the COT Force, we began talking about what are the things we need in this community. And as we began putting those things in place, we thought, you know, this is just going to be the perfect opportunity for us to take all those things. Because what we did was we met with people living on the street for 8 months. We sat in their tents, we met with them in the chapel, and we talked to people for 8 months to figure out what their need really was. And then we designed this around that. And then for me, 3 a.m. one morning, I woke up and just started writing everything down. God just inspired this, and we just started writing it down, including a note that said, Greek for mercy, ? And that's Eleos. The word Eleos is in Greek the personification of mercy and compassion, and it's applied to mercy and compassion to the most needy. So we thought that would be a perfect name, and that's how we propelled that forward. When we cast that vision, these people started reaching out to me saying, how can we be a part of it? I mean, Aspire and Jane Pauley and the health department, and just so many people just stepped forward and said, count us in, how do we become a part of this? So it became easy for us.
That's fantastic, and I know that you didn't do this alone. You had so many supporters. So at this time, I want you to introduce our next speaker, Wendy.
Okay.
Just to talk a little bit about her.
Yeah, Wendy's been our board chair for a couple of years now, and Wendy's been one of those that it's one of those things that on board meetings, the board would kind of brace themselves as to what was I going to come up with next. But when we said this, you know, and we explained what the impact this would have, Wendy and the board was just so generous in saying, how do we make this happen? So Wendy Gooding.
So from our very first meetings, you could tell the heart for this project that was not just in our boardroom, but was across all of the agencies that showed up. And, you know, it sounds like a great idea until you start working on how do we make it a reality. So I think some people really had questions about how do we actually get it done? How do we put feet to it? But of course, God orchestrated every single piece ahead of us before we ever got there. And he was doing that far beyond the visions that were created and the conversations that were had. So our community comes together literally to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And there's no political party, there's no agenda, there's just a true desire in the hearts of God's people to serve one another. And who doesn't want to be a part of something like that? It's a privilege to share alongside of all of you and all of these wonderful people behind me who have poured themselves into this project, and it's just a privilege to be a part of it.
Thank you, Wendy. Our next speaker is from an organization that has truly shown healthcare with compassion. They are a great community partner for Indiana, but more importantly, they are a great community partner here in Madison County. And with that, I would like to introduce Daryl Mitchell from Aspire.
Thank you, Clayton. Good morning, everybody. Rob, congratulations. Eric, congratulations, and to the board. What an exciting time. You know, on behalf of my other colleagues that are here from Aspire and all the Aspire companies, we just want to thank you for the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing here. You know, Madison County is fortunate to have the people that are here this morning make a difference, and I think that's about collaboration and commitment. So we look forward to the services that we can provide here and continuing to look for other ways that we can expand what we're doing together to serve the citizens of Madison County. So God bless this.
Thank you. And our next speakers, I call them the dynamic duo, from one of our partner organizations from the Madison County Mental Health and Addictions Coalition, Karen Finnegan and Rick Zachary.
Thank you. Never heard that before. First of all, you know, I don't think I have enough to say about Rob and what he does. And, you know, it's just not because I have the microphone in front of me. You know, I truly believe if we could clone Rob and put him in every community, this would be a much greater country. And I say that with all my heart. So Karen and I'll give her the mic here in a second. We're with the Madison Mental Health and Addictions Coalition, also representing a piece of that, which is called Turning Point, Madison County, and it will be a 24/7 crisis line that we are partnering with Rob to do, along with some other pieces that will come along. But we will not leave anybody behind that wants help, whether it's mental health, addictions, food, housing, whatever you need. And we're not going to give you a number. If you're in crisis, we're going to keep you on the call, and we're going to reach out and get you that help that you need at that moment. So appreciate what everybody does in this community. It's not just us. I just happen to have the microphone today. Rob's people are wonderful, and I'll turn it over to Karen real quick. Thank you.
Okay. Not much else to say other than, yes, today we're launching the 24/7 crisis line, and we've got information for everyone. In addition to that, we will also be starting some additional parts of this process, which will include hiring some people to help people in recovery. And Rick and I will be traveling around the county and telling everyone about the crisis line, about people that are going to be available for help. And we're going to continue to see this expand. And the faith-based community is going to come on board with us as well and get some additional support groups and other things like that going. So we hope to just make this a really big connection for the entire county.
Thank you. Rob, for you and your organization to continue to inspire hope and goodwill, especially in 2020, which has presented so many challenges. On behalf of the Madison County Chamber and the entire community, thank you for the continued efforts that you have. At this time, Wendy and our community partners, come on up here to the ribbon.
Staff? Can my staff up?
Anyone that you want up here. Yeah, come on up.
My board and staff. Everyone that's here. Everyone that's
And we're going to ask for a little bit of audience participation here. How about a little countdown when Rob's ready?
Am I cutting it?
You're going to cut it on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Don't run with those.
Now don't run off yet. We've got one more here. We alluded to this earlier, but this really couldn't come to fruition with the incredible generosity of State Farm. As many of you know, the Christian Center has now become the only organization in the country that has won this grant 3 consecutive years. That's a testament to Rob and his team for sure, but that's a testament to all of you and your continued support in Madison County. With that, I'd like for Mike Ward from State Farm to say a few words here and then present the check to Rob.
Okay. Hello. I'm Jake from State Farm. Oh.
The new
Sorry
Jake.
I'm Mike Ward. I've been an agent here in town for 28 years, located on 2200 block of 8th Street. And on behalf of myself, State Farm, and its 18,000 agents, I would like to present the 2020 State Farm Neighbor Assist Grant winner to Rob and staff and the Anderson Christian Center. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. That's great news, isn't it? Thanks, buddy.
Closing remarks? Or?
Yeah, I do actually. You want to take that, Jake?
Yeah, I'll take it. Thank you.
And we talk about this all the time, and we say that we can't do this or we can't do that without the help of people. I just want to say that about this alone, this is a process with State Farm where they take 2,000 nationwide. They take 2,000 applications for projects, and then they narrow it down to the top 200 based on a diverse group of people review that. They select the top 200 that they then put out for a vote nationally. And then the nation votes. Anybody with an American email address can vote. And we've been very lucky. We've been chosen 4 years in a row, and we have won it 3 years in a row. And we could not do that without you guys. Seriously, because based on the math, and I'm an accountant, so I'm guessing this is going to be fairly accurate, but this whole process received about 4 million votes, which means that where we placed, we would have had to have at least received somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 million votes. And we can't do that. I mean, every day I'm running into somebody who says, my boss sent out an email every morning and said, everybody vote. And so many of you guys were doing that. So many of you guys were doing that. And we just couldn't have done it otherwise. And this money is well invested because we needed this at a time where COVID had caused a lot of overruns and expenses and stuff. And so we really needed it. So thank you, Jake, from State Farm. Hey, let's go ahead and say some thank yous.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, listen, guys, I want to say acknowledge a few more people. First of all, we have to acknowledge that we can't do these things without God and His inspiration and the way that God has, as Wendy alluded to, He runs ahead and He just prepares people's hearts to receive these things and to begin preparing how they can help. And what happened was when we started this, the partners came to us. Initially, they just came to us, and we know that that's a God thing. And we also can't do these things without an all-sufficient Savior. And so we just thank God for that. I want to thank my family. I never get to do this. I was raised in a family where, regardless of your situation, if you knew somebody in need, you should do what you can in your power to help them. And I think that's a pretty good way to raise your kids. So thank you. My parents are here, and thank you for that. Also, keep your feet off the furniture. So That's real important. My wife, Lisa, and my 4 kids, Eli, Elise, Ethan, and Evan, whenever you're in the ministry field, and I've done this about 20 years, they are constantly sacrificing selflessly. And you don't know it. I don't even recognize it until I recognize it, until I see it in other people, what their families sacrifice. And my family's done an amazing job of sacrificing so much and joining me in the ministry field in some very powerful and important ways. I want to thank the city. The city has, prior to COVID, I had frequent meetings with the mayor, and we talked about how we can make the city a better place. And the mayor was always very invested in hearing those ideas and leaning into those. The chamber, Clayton's doing a great job. This chamber is so involved and so engaged. They know what's going on, and they do a great job, and I thank them so much. The construction folks that did this, a project, and specifically Alan Ramsey with Ramco, we know that some of these vendors took a haircut to make the budget work, but they believed in this. This was their contribution in a lot of ways, was to do some projects that were essentially just time and material, and they didn't make anything off of us. And I know that some probably took a haircut, so we appreciate them. My board, Wendy Gooding, Steve Thompson, raise your hands, Mary Vaughn, Pam Shute, Tom Murray, don't be bashful, Rex Teeple, Lisa DeLay, Kayla Truman, and one board member that has just went off our board in October but had a lot to do with this was Derek Mattinger, and I want to thank Derek as well. We got 2 great maintenance guys who did a lot of the work, Chuck Holtzcall and Bob Hodson. 2 resident volunteers, Gene Hopkins and John Wright, thank you to them. And to my staff, because I don't want to go into all the retail staff and everything, but Ray Bryans, Billy Ellis, raise your hands, everybody. Debbie McCafferty, Yolanda Lewis, Michael McCafferty, Kay Martinez, Nancy Zimmerman, and Shannon Bailey. Thank you guys so much, the staff, for that. And most importantly of my staff, I want to mention Eric Foley, who is our Director of Operations. Eric made sure, my wife's getting ready to clap because she knows how hard Eric is working as well. But we kept running into obstacles. We had crews that got sick with COVID. We had materials that couldn't be delivered. We had so many things that happened. We had to deal with the cities and permits and all that stuff. I don't have the patience for that, right? I just don't. But Eric did, and he stuck with it. And he was even when he was losing his mind. Where is Eric? Eric, come up here. Because I want you guys to see Eric. He does this all the time. In fact, this does not happen without him sticking to this, because at one point, is anybody here from the city that's going to get mad? I was over it. Yeah, Darla. I was over it, and everyone knew it. And so Eric just carried the ball, and honestly, we would not be standing here today if not for that. We'd be doing this ribbon cutting in July if it was left up to me. So thank you, Eric, for that. I just appreciate it. And regardless of the bad things I say behind his back, or he thinks I do, he's the best. And last but not least, I just want to thank all of you guys who support and encourage this ministry. Those of you guys who pray for this ministry, you guys who make donations in kind, the ones who do other things. And I know that this just sounds like a talking point, but the Christian Center Rescue Ministries in 4 years has tripled our ministry footprint. We are feeding more people. We are doing more services now than we have, triple than what we have at any point and we could not do that without the support of all of you. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Chamber. Thank you, all of our supporters. I love you guys. And that's it.
Fantastic.
Clayton.
Well, thank you, Rob. That concludes our presentation for today. They are allowing open house visitors. Tours are available if you would like to see the facility. Thank you all so much for coming out today, and go out and make it a great day.